What's up, everybody? Hey, welcome to the third episode of season 2 of Boots, Banter, and Beyond, the stories of Irreverent Warriors, the show where stories about how humor and camaraderie have changed lives for the better. I am your host, as always, Eric Schessel. Today on the show, we're going to be chatting with Kendra Garcia from IW South Florida. We're going to talk a little bit about her background and then kind of dig into some of her struggles and successes as an LC before we get into some juicy tidbits on her Silkies Hike this year. So let's go and get her on.
Hello, everybody.
Kendra, what's going on? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm surviving. It's been a long day, but you know,
I feel that.
it's all
I
good.
feel that. It's been a long a year already, and we're not even 2 months in yet.
All right, we just started February, and it's like, is this year over yet already?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and talk about your hike coming up.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Outstanding. All right. So before we get into your Silkies Hike and all the juicy details, we want to know more about Kendra the person. So tell us a little bit more about like your branch of service, your job title, etc., and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I served in the United States Marine Corps. I am a terminal lance, so I got out as a lance corporal, as all my Marines love to talk about. I was a 3051 supply warehouse clerk, and I served about 2 years, and I got medically separated after that second year.
What happened, if you don't mind?
Oh, I don't mind at all. I broke my to make it quick.
You don't have to make it
and
quick.
not complicated. So basically, long story short, about 2 weeks into boot camp, I was feeling some pain in my pelvis area that I wasn't really familiar with. I grew up dancing, like I did, like if you've seen the movie or the TV show Dance Moms, I was doing stuff like that on stage, going to dance competitions, stuff like that. So being aware of my body and not getting hurt was not something that was new to me. But about 2 weeks into boot camp, I started feeling some kind of pain in my pelvic area. Couldn't really sit crisscross applesauce, couldn't really figure it out. But I was one of those people where I'm too stubborn to quit and I'm too stubborn to complain. So at some point, I just kept going and going and going, not saying anything until about when we got into the crucible, could not run properly. And I was like, nope. I was like, I've gone too far. I'm like, I know something is wrong. I don't know what it is, but I refuse to quit now because I have a feeling it's something bad. And I'm gonna graduate on time. I refuse not to. So I went through all crucible and graduated on time, left the island, and I came home. I'm from Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
Came home and went to MacDill Air Force Base, got an MRI. It still makes me laugh to this day because it's just absurd. And they came in mortified after they looked at my MRI scan, and they told me that I broke the femoral neck hip bone that on both sides. I was 80% cracked through on my right side and 50% cracked through on my left. And I had a bunch of small little fractures in my lower back. So they were like, don't lift anything more than a glass of water. And I was like, okay. So I went down to Geiger. I got a huge surgery within 24 hours of me arriving to Camp Lejeune. And I was in recovery for about a year and a half. There were some things that were allowing me to be out of my boot platoon, and I was able to work full time at the warehouse that was there while I was waiting for med board at some point. And I ended up getting the opportunity to live out of the boot barracks and start living with the normal H&S battalion that was there on base. Didn't quite get there because I did end up getting out at that time. So yeah, that's that's why I got out early. But it was a long journey, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I'm glad it happened regardless. I'm proud to have earned that title anyway. So
Absolutely. Well, I'm sorry that happened. I mean, yeah, thinking about like I don't watch like Dancing Moms and all that stuff. Like that's not.
Yeah, it's a reality show.
For me. But I know of it. Like you see the commercials and stuff like that, and I mean,
Yeah.
that just seems like a lot of drama and stuff like that. But the amount of just intense work that you're putting your body through at such a young
Yeah.
age, it's no surprise that as soon as you got older and that workload increased, like you're talking
Yeah.
about the crucible, so you're going through boot camp, you're doing rucking and you're jumping out of trucks and all that stuff, that at some point your
Absolutely.
body was like, nah, just I'm done. Like we've had
It's
enough.
like, get me out of here. Like, I have had enough. And I'm like, no, please. I want to finish. I'm sorry.
Oh man. So all
Yeah.
right, so what was your, I guess, because now we're talking about the whole dancing thing. Like how,
Mhm.
like what age did you stop doing that? Like when was that? Like did you do that like all through high school before you got into the military, or was that kind of something that you only did like when you were like a toddler?
So I started dance, I believe, at 5 or 6. Just the normal. When you get into the dance world, most of the time you always start in ballet and tap, and that's where I started. Um, kind of throughout my childhood, certain things kind of stopped it here and there, but I really started picking up competition when I was like 13, and I didn't stop till I was 18. And that's obviously, you age out of those competitions unless you go to college, and obviously the Marine Corps doesn't have a dance team. Otherwise, I'd still be doing it. Or I mean,
You could always
I
start
would
one.
love to go back. Say it again.
You could always start one.
Oh God, that would be something. I mean, I know plenty of Marines who used to be like b-boys, you know. So like, there's plenty of dancers in the Marine Corps. I know that for sure. But
Or there's plenty that think they can dance.
that too, with some liquid courage, most of
Right?
them think they can dance. That's for sure.
Isn't that what usually happens at the Silkies Hike? Say, a little bit of
Oh,
liquid encouragement, and
South
then everybody
Florida?
thinks all of a sudden they can dance.
Absolutely. With everybody with their giant speakers, that is what they love to do, is just get down, especially at like the after parties and stuff. Sometimes I'm sitting here like, what am I watching? Like, but it's never a dull moment. That's for sure at these silky hikes.
So how did you find Irreverent Warriors? Right. So now we've gone through childhood dancing and
Yeah.
we've gone through your Marine lifestyle, and then now we're at Irreverent Warriors. Like, how did you find out about Irreverent Warriors?
I honestly, I heard about it just being on Camp Lejeune, um, like, and just being in and around my friends. Like, I had friends in all kinds of units all over Camp Lejeune, like people I knew from high school, and then just meeting people. And I heard about it somewhere somehow, and I knew about it mainly because of Donnie O'Malley and Vet TV. I knew Vet TV was a thing, and I knew that he was attached to some kind of nonprofit. So I always had some kind of thought about Silkies hikes, and I remember like some of my '03 friends, um, they would talk about going to a Silkies hike, and I was like, "What is that? Whatever." And I found Irreverent Warriors kind of through that. I just kind of knew about Silkies hikes. Those are, more Marine Corps terms anyway. So I was like, a hike, that is the bane of my existence. No way. And then I got out in 2020, which was the worst, in my opinion, the worst year to get out of the Marine Corps, because there's no job, there's nothing to go to, there's no goals to have. It's waiting for the world to give us permission to do something again.
Right, because you're
Um,
right in the middle of COVID. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I literally, I got out, I was on terminal leave, and as I'm leaving Camp Lejeune with my medical paperwork, they had just shut down the base like the next day. Like, so no one could come in, no one could come out.
Oh wow.
So I found IW just kind of like hearing about it online, but not really knowing much about it until here in Florida, we all get together, all the chapters here. We have a yearly event where we all go to Busch Gardens or SeaWorld. And the year I found out, I was literally with friends at a bar hanging out, and I was kind of just down in the dumps for a little bit. And I had a veteran reach out to me and say, "Hey, I see that you were in the Marine Corps. You should come to this." And I'm like, okay. So I looked into it. I got my thing. The next morning, I was just like, I don't know. Because I ended up being, I ended up surrounding myself right before I got out of the Marine Corps with people who told me I didn't earn anything, that I should be embarrassed to call myself a Marine, and I should never tell anybody about it. So when I got that message, I was like, I don't deserve to be around those kind of people. I was like, I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere, you know. So I was like, I did serve technically. Like I had all the same, you know, experiences as any normal fleet Marine, but it just didn't feel the same. So I had a really hard time. So the next morning I was like, you know what, screw it. I threw my Silkies on and I threw my boots on, thought I looked absolutely ridiculous, and went to Busch Gardens to meet everybody. Fun fact for everybody who's watching, Busch Gardens and SeaWorld, they offer free veteran military discounts, free veteran tickets and military discounts. So I literally spent no money on my ticket, went, and I met people from Irreverent Warriors. And they were the first people to ever look at me in the eye. Funny enough, the person who I just took over for, the former South Florida LC, his name is Angelo Martinez. He was the first person to ever tell me, what the hell are you talking about? You are a Marine. What is happening? And it literally brought a tear in my eye. Like, I was like, I especially from people who've done stuff. Like, everybody I was around, I was like, I can't share any stories. I can share crazy barracks stories. Like, that's all I have. I have nothing cool to talk about. And I straight up came out with it and told everybody that was around that time, and they all looked at me like I was crazy. They're like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "I have nothing to show for it. I don't even know if I'm allowed to be here." And they're like, "Did you graduate? Did you earn your title?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Well, then there you go. Congratulations, you're a Marine. I'm proud of you." You know, and I was like taken back by it. So that after that, I was like, I need to go to a Silkies hike. And they same person, Angelo, he actually asked me if I wanted to be on the Tampa team, because there was a Tampa team at the time. And that was the first hike I ever went to, was Tampa, and I ended up being the LC for that Tampa chapter the following year. So that's pretty much in a nutshell how I found Irreverent Warriors.
Nice. And like that's an important message to like
Yeah,
anybody that listens in, right? That just because you're told that you didn't do enough, or you didn't do this or that or the other, does not take away the fact that you still served. You still put in the
absolutely.
time and the dedication. You still earned your title, no matter what branch, whether it's
Yeah,
Marines, Navy, maybe the Space Force. I don't know. But
yeah.
well,
They haven't paid their dues yet. They got to get made fun of first.
yes, they do. The Coast Guard now has somebody they can pick on.
Exactly.
But that's a powerful message, and
Yeah,
and that you were accepted with open arms, um,
yeah.
by a group of people who, I mean, as you can attest to years later, has just been absolutely nothing but a loving and embracing community.
It really has. It's a community that I never thought I belonged to until I fell into it kind of accidentally, and I've never wanted to be a part of anything more. It's become addicting. As everybody knows, you go to one event and you are done. Like, you are immediately addicted, and you are going to everyone that you possibly can. Yes, me.
Yep, me. No, because like I'd moved to Connecticut
Hmm.
back right before IW even became a thing, and I didn't know about IW until like years later, till like 2000. I think 2019 was my
Yeah,
my very first hike.
yeah.
And so like I wasn't in a great spot, but I didn't know, I wasn't involved in anything and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So like after my first hike was like, no, this is like crack, man. I want to do all the hikes. Like, this is awesome. These are my people. I can have fun. I can be
Yes.
myself. It's great.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like, the being yourself part is the like most accurate thing ever. Like, you, as you know, like when you get out, you go to normal jobs, and it's like I would love to just tell this person that they're being an idiot. What are they doing? And then you realize that that's not the culture that you are a part of anymore. Or you can't joke about the same thing. Sometimes you can't even cuss around this, like, certain people, because it's too offensive, you know? So it's
Right.
nice to like finally be in that bubble where it's like you can joke and you can act and you can talk how you want, obviously within reason. But,
Right.
you know,
No
like,
still means
you know,
no.
no still means no. And you still have to respect people. But, you know, like I love the fact that I can be a part of that, you know, and it's also something that has saved so many people too, where it's, you know, I still talk to people all the time saying this was my first hike and this saved me. I can't wait to go to the next one and I can't wait to go to the next event, you know. So it's a really, really unique thing that we have here.
Absolutely. What made you want to be a local coordinator, an LC?
Funny story. So I always had interest in being an LC just because when I became an LC was about 2 years ago. Um, I kind of stumbled upon it. I had put an application in, but I wasn't fully sure if I wanted to do it. And the person ahead of me, who I was going to take over for, he ended up dropping out. I think like 3 months before the hike day.
Oh wow.
And yeah, like I even told him, I was like, hey, like I'm here if you need me to help you. I got this. I'd love to help. I'm like at that point I was single and living on my own, so I was like, I have all the time, please. Like if you need something, please reach out. And didn't hear too much. And then as soon as like 3 months come in, I have the regional coordinator at the time. He reached out. He was one of my close buddies. He was like, have you heard anything from this person? And I was like, no, I don't know what to do. And he was like, you know what? We need to make this happen. People are signing up. Do you want to be LC? And I was like, sure. And that's where it started. So we had to literally put together a full hike from the start within 3 months. And it was a whirlwind, but it was I am so proud of that hike. I like it was very simple, you know, very cool, very low key. But I even told my Marine Corps friends from here in South Florida um, that you have to bring the party, bring the vibes. I want y'all out there dancing, put on those tunes, get the hype up there, and they delivered. They delivered. You can ask anybody. They delivered, and it was probably I still think about how proud I am about that hike. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I moved down to West Palm Beach soon after because I had somebody ask if they could be the LC for Tampa, and I was like, sure. I was like, I was already planning on moving down to South Florida, so that's perfect. And the former South Florida coordinator literally reached out to me last year about this time last year, asking me if I wanted to take over South Florida. Took a little bit convincing because it is a lot of work. I was like, I don't even know South Florida like that. He's like, no, you'll be great. I know you'll do great. He's like, I know you love it as much as I do. And I was like, okay. And that's pretty much how it went. So, yeah.
That does sound like a whirlwind. I can't imagine like putting on a hike in 3 months.
Yeah.
Like
It,
in
oh my God.
it would be something, especially like I would say like and it's because every location is different, right? Like South
Yeah.
Florida itself is more like a destination hike. Like people are going to travel from
Yeah.
all over the country to come down to South Florida. And so there's a
Absolutely.
lot of pressure there. Like
Yeah.
up in Connecticut, like people aren't being like, you know where we gotta go for Silkies Hike this year? We gotta go to Connecticut, right? Like
That's not true because I literally I was about to come up to those hikes, even Delaware, and I ended up not being able to. So don't say that. Okay. I was about to come up there. No, no
well,
lie. No
no, but
lie.
it's
But I
just
see what you're saying.
right. It's like people want to go down to sunny South Florida and have the
Yeah.
party and all that stuff. Whereas it's like Connecticut, and it's a great hike. I love the Connecticut
Yeah.
Silkies hike. I love the community people up here. We're all just fabulous and great, and I love
Oh,
it.
I
It's
love
just
that.
it's a different vibe, right? It's
Yeah.
not the
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not the same, right?
Yeah.
It's not the sunny party and all that that some of these other
Yeah.
locations are, especially y'all down in Florida. You guys are crazy.
Yeah. Oh, we're psycho. I've gone to different I've gone to different like states and we're crackheads. Like I've gone to we just did New Orleans last year. I've done North Carolina, Georgia. I'm trying to think of the other states. I've done like a bunch up the East Coast and I would love to do like I'd love to do like anywhere in the New England side. I have family from New England, so I'd love to go see it. But I would love to expand, but the different states that you go to, it's a different vibe. It's a good vibe, but it's
Oh,
like
absolutely.
very night and day compared to the crackheads of all of us that are in South Florida. Like we're all psycho, but in the best way, of course.
I might have to make my way down there and experience
Yes,
the crackhead hike,
you have
as you
to.
call
You
it.
have to. We're
Oh man,
crackheads, but in a good way. It's like a
right?
party, and then it's but how are you doing? You know we love you, right? Come on, come party with us. We're all gonna dance. Come on. It's like that
That's
in a
awesome.
nutshell.
That no, but I mean that's great. But
Yeah.
again, even still, like you were saying, like you had to put that together in 3 months, and the pressure for doing that for that kind of a vibe
Yeah,
is huge.
it
It's
is,
absolutely
especially
huge.
like filing paperwork and like not knowing where to start. I mean, thank God it was in my home city. Like I'm super proud about being from Florida to begin with, but I'm super proud of being a Tampa native. So I was like, how can I showcase my favorite city in the whole world? So it was like, okay, well, we have to find a starting point, which was honestly the hardest part of finding it. So I was like, okay, what are we gonna do? And I finally, thank by the grace of the IW gods, they found me somewhere. And I ended up just branching off of that. But it took a lot of tears, 100%, a lot of tears. Um, and it was worth it though. Very short
Eh,
amount of time, but it was very worth it.
well, yeah. So, like, what's the I guess the best way to put it, like, what's the community like down there in South Florida? Like, how does the your area where you do your Silkies Hike, how do they embrace what Irreverent Warriors is, right? So, like,
Oh my
how do
gosh.
they react to us?
Are you talking about like the community or like our community down there?
No, the community. It's like, how do they
Oh,
feel about us wandering around in our shorty shorts and our loud music and whatnot? Like,
yeah.
it looks crazy to anybody, and the outside is like, I have no idea what's going on out
Like,
there.
who
What's
are
going
these
on?
people? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I would say, mostly positive. I would say probably 99.99% positive. You see people and they're just honking their horns. They're all screaming for us because we go right down the beach. So we see everybody, all of our all the tourists that come down, everybody, they're all there. So you'll see people screaming for us and, chanting to us. And people will, like, we're obviously stopping in like different places. So people will buy us stuff. Like, it's a very, very welcoming thing. And even us, we're all very in tune with the mission, even people who aren't leaders, like they're everybody's very in tune with the mission. So people will constantly come up to us and be like, what are you guys? Are you guys a protest? And we're like, no, we're here for veteran suicide prevention. And they're like, no way, tell me more. Like everybody's extremely enthusiastic about us being there. And the second you mention the word veteran, even in the whole state of Florida, I would even say, it's what can we do to help you? And it's honestly it's a very, very welcoming and positive environment for the most part.
Awesome. That's always good to hear. You know, you hear
Yeah.
sometimes of some hikes where they get all the approvals, they go put on their hike and all that stuff, but like the community
Hmm.
is kind of iffy because
Yeah.
of what they perceive, right? Like
Yeah.
they see a bunch of military people running around with our flags and
Hmm.
the music, and we do look like a protest half the time, like just a
Yeah.
marching protest, and
Yeah.
especially in with the political climates and stuff like that that
Yeah.
have been going on for the past,
Oh yeah.
well, for forever. You know,
Yeah.
we have a certain look about us,
We
and
do. You
until
know what's funny
somebody
about that
comes up,
actually? Sorry. You
no,
know what's
you're
funny
good.
about that actually is that I wasn't personally there for one of these times. They're not super long stories, I promise. But I wasn't here for one of them. But there was so they have certain parades happening in the same month that we do our Silkies hike. It's always in February. It's most of the time always Super Bowl weekend. So I wasn't here for this hike, but apparently there was a certain parade going on, like a certain awareness parade, if I may, um,
Sure.
going down the street, and we were just on the sidewalk, I guess, just going on and just keep moving. And they were all apparently like super angry. They thought that we were there to protest, and we're like, no, 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 like we're not here for this. Like we're here because veteran suicide prevention. Like, we're not doing anything. So I heard about that, and there was actually the last time I did the South Florida hike last year before I was in LC. I was hiking with my friends, and on the other side, which I was very proud of my friends because I was like, wow, you guys do listen to me. They're a bunch of Marines. So I was like, wow, you guys do listen to me when I talk about the mission. They're like, somebody screamed out like some presidential candidate, and they're like, yeah, and one of my friends was like, no political affiliations, and I was like, oh my god, thank you. I'm like, you do listen to me, thank you. So it's really funny. Like, most of the time we get like mostly positive, you know, vibes from people, but thankfully we do keep everybody in check. We're like, no, we're here for this mission and this mission only. So, but yeah, mostly positive, I would say.
Good. I mean, and that's always super important.
Yeah.
You don't want to try to do a hike, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have a hike in an area that was not supportive of the veteran
Oh
community.
no, no. We
So,
had a protest happen in Tampa. We had one that was happening. It happened. I'm sorry, it happened the day prior, and I'm sitting here like, please, please do not be here. It was about certain things happening over in the Middle East, and I'm like, I do not want a bunch of veterans who have been over in those places to see all this. I'm like, this is not going to be a good thing, and thankfully they weren't there. But yeah, it's a good thing to always avoid certain areas because we don't want to give people the wrong idea. It's like, we're not what you think we are. We're here for a good cause, not because of
right,
anything negative at all. Whether what
right.
side you believe on, it's like
Well, yeah.
there's no affiliation with anybody, I promise.
No, and to even to expand on that, even when we're in the hike, and yes, some people may have had liquid courage, but for the most part, like everybody just behaves.
Yeah.
Like if there
Yeah.
is stuff like that on the other side of the
Yeah.
road, even like we just kind of ignore it. Like you might have one or two
Yeah.
people like shout something, but for the
Mhm.
most part, you yeah, like everybody just behaves and just like just ignore
Absolutely.
it. Just keep going. Just
Absolutely.
ignore it, let it
That's
go. Like it's not worth it because nobody
yeah.
wants to get in trouble and stuff like that. So
Exactly. Like, that's something that I've always really appreciated about our community is that they are very prideful of why we're here and not trying to make it sound like it's something that it's not. So we're like, I feel like that our community is very protective over our mission. So they're not going to let people assume that it's something else when it's not, which I think it's really great. And I also think that it's honestly amazing that our community holds that mission so close to their hearts to where there's no room for assumptions. It's like, no, this is who we are, and let me tell you why we're here. Like, if you got a couple minutes, let me tell you, and I love that all of our veterans are like that.
yeah, I can't remember a time when on any of the hikes that I've been to, and I've been
Yeah.
mostly in the New England area for the hikes in like New York City and stuff
Hmm.
like that. When even when we're going around and there might be people that like cop an attitude or want to know more about us, like their tune
Yeah.
changes when they realize that we're not politically affiliated, that we're literally just
Yeah.
veterans trying to bring awareness to something that is very important to us as a community. And they're kind of like, oh, I didn't know that. Can I
Yeah.
find out more? And then like you've kind of now you've not really converted them, but you've opened their eyes to where they
Yeah.
might have been angry about what they
Hmm.
perceived, but then as soon as they hear the stories in the backgrounds, they're like, "Oh man, can I give you a
Yeah.
hug?" Like
Yeah.
and the whole thing totally changes.
Absolutely. And that's something that, like, I feel like, just piggybacking off of what you said, it's something that's super important when people find out that we're not affiliated with anything because it shows that the military is like, people think America is a melting pot. Oh my gosh, the military is even more like, it's even more diverse. Like, there's people who gain citizenship by joining the military. There's people of all religions, political affiliations, all kinds of beliefs, and we all work together as a well-oiled machine. You
Yep,
know, and I think that's what's really great. And I think that's why it's so important for people to know that we aren't what people assume that we are, because it's like, no, like, we respect everybody and we love everybody. We just want everybody to be healthy.
absolutely. Yeah. No, great point.
Yeah.
So all right, so when is your hike? When is your Silkies hike this year?
It is Saturday, February 15th.
Bam. There it is. Look, we got the flyer up there. So even while you're watching this, when this sucker airs, you guys can actually you got the QR code right there too, so you guys can go register.
Yes.
So if you're in Florida, or even if you're not in Florida and you're looking for something to do, February 15th, there you go. You can totally register and sign up for the Silkies hike. And I
Remember,
guarantee
it's
you
Fort
it's going to be a
Lauderdale,
good time.
Florida.
What's
Yes,
that?
yes. I said I remember everybody. It is Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Because South Florida is a very big region. Hopefully, we'd love to share some loves to our other South Florida cities eventually. But Fort Lauderdale, Florida is where we will be.
Hell yeah. Outstanding. All right. So tell us, what was one of the biggest struggles you had in getting your hike together this year?
Probably just knowing the area. Like, I think South Florida was my second hike I ever went to. It was Tampa and then South Florida, which is ironic because I was an LC for Tampa first, and now I'm an LC for South Florida. um, but being born and raised in Florida, I have been to South Florida before living here, probably 3 times before I actually visited here or before I actually lived here. Like,
Okay.
I came to a Florida hockey game with IW South Florida, and then I went to the hike. That was it before I started actually coming down here because I met my boyfriend who lives here. He's stationed here. So that was it. So so I did not know the area. I had ideas, but I didn't know where anything was. I didn't know anything about it. So I was relying heavily, thankfully, on my team who are living in the area. I was like, okay, well, what do you guys like about this one, or this place, So that was probably the hardest part, was knowing the location and know how to navigate the city. But thankfully, it's not too hard. So,
How what's the distance for your hike this year?
it's about 8 miles this year.
Okay. That's not bad. It's
Yeah.
not like, because for anybody that doesn't know, like our Silkies, like they're not, you're not hiking for 8 miles without rest and stuff like that. We're not trying to do that to you guys. There's stops and stuff along the way.
Yeah. We
So
try to keep it, at least for the Fort Lauderdale hike. You will not hike longer than a mile and a half at the absolute most, and that's only, I think, one leg. Everything else is a mile to half a mile. It's just to keep everybody well hydrated, well taken care of, so you can have chances to, relax if you need to. But we'll also have golf carts, as most hikes do. If anything, all hikes do. We'll all have safety vehicles for those who, need to take a longer break. But we'll be out there. We won't just be stopping in places and being like, all right, 15 minutes, get out. No, it's gonna be long. You'll have time, so it's gonna be a good day, and it's an all-day event. So please feel free to bring all your happiness and your energy, because it's gonna be a good day.
you mentioned golf carts. How did you guys acquire golf carts for your hike? Like, I'm
Oh
assuming
my
you're
God.
borrowing them or renting them from somewhere, or are you guys
Yes.
tactically acquiring them?
I wish we were tactically acquiring them. That'd be a lot cheaper. So we actually it it was a fiasco, okay, to say the least. Usually it's very easy, but this year I just did not have good luck. We reached out to people and we got some recommendations, and it ended up being really sketchy. So I was like, let's just go with the business. And sure enough, secured them yesterday, actually. So we just rented them. Pretty simple process. A lot of them will deliver and pick up as well. So it's pretty easy. Pretty easy.
I'm gonna have to look into that. What's the budget like for that? Like, what does that cost, if you don't mind?
It depends. It really depends on the day, how long you're having them, where you're at, because I'm sure renting golf carts in Tampa would not be nearly as expensive as it was here in South Florida. Some places, like, it's a huge range. So, like, it depends on what you want. You want a gas golf cart or an electric one? Do you want a 4-seater or a 6-seater? Do you want it to have lights and look all crazy? No, we don't need all that mess. So, for me, it was like, it ranged anywhere from like $100 to $200 a golf cart. But I mean, if you get, like, I got like 2 6-seaters, and that's gonna be plenty, because we'll have like volunteers on it, but also we'll have a cooler on there, so we need room for that.
Yeah.
So it was a little pricey, but at the same time, to me, it's worth it, especially where we'll be hiking. It'll be a lot easier just pull up on the side of the road and just keep them there versus our any actual vehicles, which we do, but not civilian vehicles.
Right. And so, but
Yeah.
you guys use them as like safety vehicles and stuff too,
Yep.
where people need to take a load off, they can just kind of hop in and have a seat and
Yep.
whatnot.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm
That's what they're there
totally going
for
to steal that
mainly.
idea, and
Please.
well, I guess it's not really stealing it. It's just acquiring the idea because I didn't steal it. It's not, but
No.
I'd love to have golf carts for
It's
so I can
it's
think it'd be a lot of
super
fun.
helpful. It really is. Like, don't get me wrong, like I've done it without it. But it was really, really it was really nice to just see it happening last year. And I even asked my hike sport coordinator, I was like, do we have to have golf carts or do you really want them? And she straight up was like, if we can have them, please, can we make it happen? And she gave me all the reasons. And as she was listing them off, I was like, damn, you're right. Like, I remember seeing it like that. That makes complete sense to me. So yeah, please
What were
do. It's really great.
what were some of the reasons? How did she convince you?
She
'Cause now I'm
so
picking
we're
your
we
brain now. Like this turned into an
please
interview
do.
to where now
No,
I'm picking your
we don't even
brain.
care about the interview now. It was actually so her reasoning was, and I'm going to paraphrase because we had this conversation like 6 months ago, six months
Sure.
ago. So where we're going to be hiking at, it's very straightforward. It literally is like a giant U and going back. So the main road that we're going to be hiking on is right down, it's A1A, but it's for those who know who I'm talking about. It's A1A. It's right down Fort Lauderdale Beach is the majority of the hike.
Okay.
So it's at certain points, it's only a 2-lane road and everybody's going the same way except for certain parts, but a lot of the part will be going the same way. So it's going to be nice for when volunteers need to pull off, they don't need to find a spot where there's like a bus stop area or anything like that. They can literally just whoop whoop and stop on the sidewalk and just
Right.
move everybody so they can start handing out waters or even pull off to the side. So we'll have police there. But it's one of those things where it's a lot easier to maneuver out of those crowds and it's easier to find parking because parking, of course, as everybody knows, parking near the beach is always a nightmare. So
Right.
having a golf cart, you can fit 2 golf carts in one parking spot and boom. Or people don't really care because it's not a car, so you can just park it in front of a business and they're not going to care. For the most part,
Well,
for the most part.
right.
But yeah,
Well, I mean,
that's mainly the reasons.
well, which are good, and so I asked not only for my hike, obviously, because I
Hmm.
think that would be beneficial for us, but also that's like if other hikes don't use golf carts, then
Yeah,
now we've got the reasons why you guys are using them, and that might make a lot of sense. So essentially, we might be
yeah,
helping other hikers or other
absolutely.
LCs who tune in to be like, hey, we need to get golf carts because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going to look at golf carts.
Yeah. I mean like IW Key West, Jess the LC, she
Yep.
uses I think she actually gets them donated. So like a lot of places will donate. Um but she uses them too and it is a dream to work with. Like they run forever. They're easy to drive, so it's really a really great thing to have. If you can of course if you can make it happen. If not, it's completely doable without golf carts. So if any LCs hear that, don't feel the pressure. If you can make it happen, great. But I've also done it without it, and they've been just as fine. So
Good. Awesome. No, that's a good helpful tidbit.
thank
So,
you.
no, it is. Like I know, like I said, I'm going to start looking into golf carts because I think it would just add a different element because
Yeah.
we're always escorted by Norwich PD and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So they're on the shoulder of the road with us and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we want to add like a safety vehicle, but not have like an actual car if we can help it
Yeah.
because that takes up more traffic space and stuff like that. So having the golf cart makes a little bit more sense. There's a little bit more maneuverability, a little bit more space to
Absolutely.
work with. So
Absolutely. I mean, we're gonna have like not to spoil anything. I'm not really because there's some couple surprises with what we're gonna have on our convoy, but we will have we'll have 3 armored vehicles with us. And we're gonna have one big old one. I won't tell anybody what it is, so you'll see it when you get there. But it's not. We have 2 Humvees and a big boy, and they will
and an
be
old
right
lord, he's a
behind
coming.
a big old. Oh Lord, he coming, big tonk. he he will be there. It's a giant one. But it's gonna be nice because we'll have like police, our big armored vehicles, and then we'll have golf carts kind of following, but also like kind of side by side with people. So it's easier so you can keep you know, everybody's safe, but also it's an easy way to maneuver in and out of traffic. So it's like, oh, well, we've got to figure out where to park our Humvees. Golf carts, we don't have to worry about that. We can literally just whoop, 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 whoop. Okay. And also when people are trying to cross, obviously we don't have our police anymore because they're going to be in the intersection waiting for everybody to cross and protecting everybody. Who's going to lead it? We've got a golf cart. We got a golf cart, you know? So it's a really, really easy and really nice tool to have.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
aside from your military vehicles, what other juicy little tidbits can you give us for your hike that you plan? Things that you want to give away. Obviously, we don't want to give it all away
Yeah.
because now we got to get you guys. We got to get people to come out to your hike. But
Of course.
what can you tell us that you don't mind giving away?
Yeah. So we have a lot of the places that we're going to are pretty similar to last year. But a lot of the businesses that we're going to have been able to give us some pretty sweet stuff. Certain two of the businesses, one being our after party, they are giving us happy hour prices the entire time we're there. So it's going to be cheaper. We'll be serving breakfast at our first stop. Everybody gets to eat. And we're going to have some pretty sweet merch, if I'd like to say so myself. I have some of our stuff right here, if you're interested. I'd love to show it.
Go for it. Show it. Show it
All
off.
right.
Show us
So
what you got.
otherwise, we do have other things, but I did get with Lance from Thigh Huggers, and I designed our Silkies that we will be selling there. And it says IW South Florida on the butt.
Nice.
And we also, thanks to we have a couple military-owned businesses that are going to be helping with merchandise this year. And this is one of the things. It's a bottle opener. It says IW
Oh,
South
okay.
Florida on it.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. And it's
Pretty
a
sweet.
50 cal. So that's going to be really cool. We have patches. We got hike tags. We've got all kinds of really cool stuff. We've got flags. Excuse me. A lot of really cool stuff, and everybody wanted more merchandise from last year, so we will be bringing the merch this year. So please feel free to check it out. We're gonna have a ton of stuff, and our stops are gonna be just as great. We have a lot of discounted merchandise or discounted product you can buy at some of our hike stops. We're gonna have some really cool raffles. We always have really great raffles. Even some of them are being made by the same person who made these. It's going to be a giant American flag coin holder. There's going to be 2 of them. So there's a lot of really cool little things that people should definitely check into if they see our hike or if they're considering coming to our hike.
Well, there's no considering. Y'all just need to go to the hike because,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
What are
to
you
get
waiting for? What are you waiting
right.
for?
I want a pair of palm tree booty shorts. Like that's what I need in my life.
I
So
mean, come on. Like, how do you see these and be like, I don't want to wear these? Like,
right?
I'd come just for the shorts. Come on. Come on, guys.
Seriously. So last question. And this is a good one. So if you were to be talking to somebody about the organization or
Mhm.
trying to talk to somebody just about like the Silkies hike and stuff like that, they were on the fence about either coming out to a hike or just a random like event together that you guys are hosting, um, and you think that they need it. I mean, let's face it, everybody needs it.
Yeah.
What would you say to them to convince them to come out and participate in our events?
Personally, that's a really good question. I always say the same thing because every single time I talk to somebody, I meet like lots of veterans in the gym. Funny enough, they always are terrified by the words silky and hike, specifically hike. People who are on the fence or don't really know if they want to go or just don't know what it is. The word hike is scary. The word ruck and the word hike is scary. Sorry, Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard and everybody else. I don't know what you'll call it, but I know it's ruck for the Army and hike for the Marine Corps. So I always tell them the same thing. It's not an athletic environment. You're not there to work out. You're there for the community and you're going to make lifelong friends. It's going to be one of those things where you don't realize you need it until you're there. Like, and I always share a little bit about my story. I always tell people, you know, like it heals a part of you that you didn't realize needed healing. People always like to talk about, I was actually just talking to a veteran about this yesterday. I was saying how we always are given all of these pills and all of these things that just put a bandage on a bullet wounds, but the real remedy, in my opinion, is the community. It's the camaraderie, it's the humor behind it. It's
Yeah.
being able to let your hair down, not for everybody, for me specifically. I know I've got long locks.
I don't have any hair, so
Well, let your hair down, let it flow. It's one of those things where you don't feel that kind of love until you're in that environment. And it scratches a part of your brain that you don't know needs scratched. It's just, I always tell people to take a chance. And if you don't like it, you never have to go to anything ever again, but try it. And I promise you, you will love it. That's what I always say.
all right, and that's a good message. I mean, what do you have to lose, right?
Yeah.
If you're on the fence, just take the chance
Yeah.
and come out and hang out with people, and who knows, it might save your life. You don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've had people like after the Tampa hike, I was just kind of sitting there. I was given a shooter a fireball. I was like, I will not be drinking this till the end, until everybody leaves. And I was sitting there, just saying bye to everybody and saying thank you, see everybody at the after party. And there were so many people that came up to me and were like, this is exactly what I needed. Like, this was my first hike ever. I didn't know anybody and now I have friends. I was like, that is what we're here for. We're here for that community. Like, there will never be a time where you show up to an IW event where you will be sitting alone. If somebody sees you sitting alone, somebody's going to come up and talk to you. That's even happened to me, and I just wanted to eat my lunch alone at a hike before. I was in IW Savannah and I didn't feel like talking to anybody, and I was just eating my lunch, and people came up to me and said, "Hey, are you okay? You want to talk?" It's like it's such a welcoming event, like it's such a welcoming community. You will leave with friends. There is no doubt about it. You will, if you want the friends, they will be there for you. So it's really such a unique environment, and it's scary for people. I totally get it. I was one of those people who showed up alone. Like you will find your people. Promise, hands down.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that. I mean, you can't say anything more. Like,
Yeah,
if you're afraid, or you've been kind of isolated and stuff like that, like, this is going to totally give you a whole brand new outlook.
yeah, absolutely. It's it leaves me speechless sometimes when I try to explain it to people, or I try to reminisce on what I've experienced and the people I've met. Like, it's something that is so different. You don't know it. You don't know this kind of thing until you put yourself in it. And I've never looked back. I will forever be a part of IW. I think it's the best thing in the whole world. It means so much to so many people. We've grown so much within the last 10 years. 10-year anniversary, guys. This is the 10-year.
Yeah. Yep.
And we will continue to do that. And I think it's going to just get bigger and bigger. Last year, we had over 300 veterans show up. Some last minute, we made everybody sign up. I just checked the tally the other day from last year's hike. We had over 300 veterans. I think 313. Tampa,
Wow.
I doubled the numbers. It was like 240, I think, 220, something like that. So it's one of those things where it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to get even bigger, and I'm excited to see it get bigger.
I can't imagine 300 hikers. Like,
It is insane.
that's
Yeah.
massive. Like, we get in between, like, 150, 175.
That's still a great number. Easy.
No, absolutely. But,
Yeah.
like, to basically double that, like, holy crap.
Yeah. It's intimidating. I finished I when I was planning for Tampa the year prior, I think, obviously don't quote me on this. I'm pretty sure from what I remember, because I know we for sure doubled the numbers. But the first year we had Tampa, the year before I took over, I think we had like 120 hikers. I think that's what the LC told me. I can't remember. And then the next year was like 240 or something close to that.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's one of those things where, like, You'll never know when it will jump, but it will eventually. And it is the coolest thing to see so many people. And like I remember at the lunch stop, we had a huge fiasco. Huge fiasco. There was a huge miscommunication between me and the restaurant. I told them what we wanted and needed, and at one point they stopped serving and were like, "This is what you ordered." And I was like, "I definitely ordered more than this. I don't know what's going on." But we fixed it. But as soon as that was fixed, I sat down and I started looking at my phone finally. And I just see all of the photos and all of the videos, and it brought a tear to my eye. Like, I was like, this was worth it. Like, seeing all these people, all these new friends that people are making, all the positive vibes everybody was sharing with each other. I was like, this is why we do this. Like, it's it's a beautiful thing, truly. Like, I've reconnected with people that I haven't seen in years. One of my buddies, he lives in New York, and he just went to the Puerto Rico hike. And he tells
Okay.
me all the time, he was like, "Thank you for telling me about this." He asked me a couple years ago, was like, "Hey, what are these hikes that you go to?" And I told him. And now he's addicted, you know? So it's one of those things where it's now I'm starting to see people from my past come in and enjoy it and start to spread the word, you know? So it's really cool to see it. And we actually all from my unit, him included, we all lost one of our friends. Gotta check my wrist. Yeah, 2 years ago now, in October.
Okay.
And it was one of those things where it's like, if only he knew. Sergeant Roy, he was an amazing person. He was one of my favorite people. I worked side by side with him all the time. Um, it's one of those things where, like, if only he knew, you know, I was like, you know, so it's one of those things where now we all check up on each other. I haven't talked to these people in 4 years, and now I'm hearing from everybody randomly all the time, you know, so it's one of those things where even though something tragic happened to all of us, it's something that we all bond over. And that's why I think we all care so much about the mission. We all want to check up on each other and make sure everybody's good, you know? So it's
Yeah.
it's a really, really great thing that we have here. And the thing that we've, especially LCs, something we've all had a part in, you know?
Yep. Yep. Oh man. Well, I think that that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see photos of your Silkies hike. I
Get
sincerely
ready.
hope that it is a I sincerely hope it's a huge success and it's
Thank
everything
you.
that you and your team to want it to be.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's gonna be. I'm
Absolutely.
gonna let everybody know it's not as over the top as the previous years. I'm just finding my footing, but it's gonna be nice and simple. It's gonna be a great time.
We'll pop it
I
up there
hope
one more
everybody
time. If anybody
comes.
hopped in late, there it is. There it is. Make sure you guys get registered and go out.
It's gonna be a
All
great time,
right.
guys.
And there you have it. We want to thank Kendra for spending some time with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
you're very welcome. We really appreciate taking the time to hang out. Thank you all for listening and tuning in. Be sure to share this episode far and wide so we can bring a little humor and camaraderie to anybody who might listen. Until next time, stay irreverent, my friends.
See you guys.